nice cutouts.
I love you, Erik!
Thank you, Ajay. All right. All right. Who here can't wake up in the morning? Because unfortunately, that is me, saliva and all. And that was also me this morning, even though I had this TED Talk to give. So who here can't wake up in the morning? Yeah, it's totally fine. I totally understand it. I would have also a really hard time waking up for school, especially if I have to do a timed write. Some of you might enjoy timed writes. It's very interesting. But the point is, it's so comfortable sitting there and sleeping in your bed, you feel like there's nowhere better to be. But the title of my TED Talk is Screw Comfort. And the reason it's the title is because I feel like it applies to a lot of my life, and I hope you guys will start applying it to your lives too, even if it's just in the smallest of ways. Now, some of you who might know me might say, Erik, you're Asian American, you're male, and you're going into computer science. You're the definition of comfort. Now, you might have a point there, but just bear with me for a second, because if I was someone who clung to comfort, I wouldn't be here today. Because in 7th grade, I was someone who was deathly afraid of public speaking. Back then, I fully understood why it was the #1 fear. And I thought, wow, it would be such a crazy superpower if I could figure out how to talk in front of people. And so, sick of the stuttering, I eventually decided to join something, or do something about it. And so, in middle school, I joined debate. And I joined public forum more specifically, and it was a partnered event. And so after getting rejected by 3 or 4 people kind of brutally, when I asked them to be my partner, I eventually found Gage. And contrary to popular opinion, I thought he was quite a steal. And I remember just being so deathly afraid that he was going to ditch me. It's a very true story. I remember once we were debating these 7th graders, and we were just smacking them around so hard, and I thought, wow, debate is the best activity ever. I remember we were destroying them. These kids, they had their heads down on their desks, which made me feel happy, and and their parents were watching their kids get destroyed, which made me feel a little happier. And I thought, wow, debate is so great, there is no way I can lose this round. And then it was time for my speech, right? Which also happened to be the last speech of the entire round. And let me tell you, I slayed that speech. I killed it. Yeah, no, not really. Not at all, actually. In fact, what happened was this college student who very clearly didn't want to be there, but also happened to be our judge, he told us for the first 45 minutes of debate, he was so sure he would be voting for my team. And then in the last 2 minutes, which was specifically reserved for my speech, he did a complete 180. He ranted for a whole minute about how much I sucked, how much I stuttered, how much I made really bad strategic decisions, and how much I didn't talk about anything I needed to talk about. And so the feelings ended up being flip-flopped. The parents and the kids walked out really happy, and I walked out really sad. And this kind of defined debate even into the early years of my high school career. And I remember I was going 1-5 and losing to tons of middle schoolers like this tall. And I just was having a really bad time. I remember always feeling discouraged, defeated, never quite really comfortable. But as cliche as it is, I tried to remind myself that it wasn't about the result. Because I never joined debate in the first place to win or to beat middle schoolers. Instead, I joined debate to get better at public speaking. And the fact of the matter is, I'm here today. And to be honest, I'm pretty nervous. I didn't come very prepared. I wrote my speech last night. And some of you may have seen me in the tutorial center in second period practicing my speech. But the fact that I'm here today proved that those temporary feelings of defeat and discomfort were temporary, and I've got more permanent gains now, and this kind of just proves it to me. And so all of a sudden, I started looking at the rest of my life. What else am I actively avoiding? What other barriers can I break, right? And so there's this concept called hiking. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of hiking before, but it consists of basically people sitting in your comfortable chairs and couches right now. They get up and they go outside, right? And outside, they're going to walk around. They're going to sweat. They're going to become sore, and then big bugs are going to come and take big bites out of them. And they're going to find a way to deceive themselves and trick themselves into thinking they're having a good time. And what really helps them along that process is when they get to the very top and they see that magical vista point, they snap a few photos, put it on their Instagram story, and they tell themselves, I did so great today. And let me let you guys in on just a tiny little secret. They could have gotten better photos without getting out of their seats in the first place. This thing called the internet. Crazy, right? And so I was not a fan of hiking. But my parents, they were, unfortunately. And so they would come to me and they'd tell me, Eric, come hiking with us. I'd tell them, A, not only is hiking the most ridiculous concept made to mankind. B, I would have to spend 2 hours with nothing to do but to talk to you guys. That sounds absolutely terrible. And so I politely declined. Then they came back 4 more times, and I politely declined 4 more times. And now they started coming back to me with the powerful arguments of science. They told me, Eric, hiking will make you happier. I think I look pretty happy right now, and so I'm totally fine. I don't need that. They told me, Eric, hiking will make you less stressed. Well, personally, I think that this was really offensive because I'm someone who's never really stressed. I'm always a calm person, and I don't really understand why at all they would ever call me someone who's not who's too stressed. I am the calmest person you'll ever meet. And then they told me, Eric, hiking will lower your risk of heart disease. Mom, Dad, do I look your age? They told me, Eric, hiking will make you less anxious. Eric, hiking will strengthen your core. I've got those things. Don't worry about that. And then they came back, and then the list kind of just got longer. They told me, Eric, one day, hiking will make you more energetic. Eric, hiking will improve your vision. Oh, that's a little, okay, now it's going forward. It also mitigate pain, which, I thought pain builds character. I don't know, kind of flip-flopping on their own argument there. They told me it will enhance creativity, it'll improve your immune system. Personally, I haven't been sick for 2 months, so. But this list kind of just got longer and longer and longer. And, oh, it's really going too far. And I started, realizing that I couldn't come up with an individual excuse for all of them. And so I took a page out of our president's book, a trump card, if you will. And you guys know what I did, right? I called it all fake news. And unfortunately, this has been spoiled, but that wasn't the case. And so I kind of still managed a way to finesse my way out of these 40 reasons I should go hiking. And then it just got kind of ridiculous. And so I thought, all right, this is probably something that I'm avoiding. This is probably something I resolved that I would not avoid. And so I tried backpacking in a huge way. 2 summers ago, I pushed all my McDonald's earnings into a 1-week backpacking trip in the Olympic National Mountains all the way up in Washington. For the record, these backpacks are way heavier than they seem. It kind of felt like I was dragging my brother along, doing all the work, while he kind of just enjoyed the sights, so he was kind of just benefiting off the fruits of my labor, which, to be fair, is basically our relationship anyways. And if you're one of those people like me who thinks pool water is cold and refuses to go into a pool, glacier water is way colder. It's actually freezing. But to be fair, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And it's also a memory that I'll cherish for a long time. And I got to sleep in beautiful places like this. And I got to, that's actually me in the tent, by the way, not a stock photo. And I got to throw snowballs in the summer. And I absolutely loved this experience. And besides discovering a new love for the outdoors, I also realized like a lot of other lessons. You know, that experience of disconnecting for a week with no cell phone really taught me how much chaos kind of surrounds us in the world, and especially here in the Silicon Valley. And that experience of just reflecting in solitude helped make me a lot more balanced, and it was a lesson that will probably stick with me for the rest of my life. And so, taken together, these awkward, uncomfortable moments, they helped me grow into who I am today. And we all have those awkward, uncomfortable moments, right? Whether it was that like dumbass thing we said to our crush, or that cool, hip new haircut that we tried that really just didn't work. The point is, these awkward, uncomfortable moments are the moments that stick with us the most. They're the things that keep us up at night. They're the things that we can't forget. They're lessons that will stick to us much longer than whatever you learned in your last calculus lecture, if you learned anything at all. And by seeking out discomfort and by seeking out your own uncomfortable moments, you choose what you want to improve in. Whether in my case it was public speaking and joining debate, or in your case it might be climbing heights and trying to see how high you can go. Whatever fear or lesson or idea you want to conquer, you can conquer way faster through this process. And so my boy Zhang here, he does this as well. Every year he'll challenge himself to do something new, something he isn't quite comfortable with. It can be something small, reading a new book every other week. Or in his case, it can be bigger. It can be slaughtering every single animal that he personally consumes. It can be more unique, breaking more and more privacy laws in the span of a year. It can be seeing how much of your personal data he can personally leak to our good friends over in Russia. Jokes aside, these moments of discomfort are really, really important. And I've personally also resolved to see a significant kind of discomfort every year. So I hope you guys will as well. I hope you guys will try something new, even if it's starting so small, just a single conversation with someone you're afraid of. It'll pay off. Thank you.